Crap. Well, that about works. Yeah, as displayed cleverly on the screen, stream starts at about 2300 CET, which is about 15 minutes, allowing me to go for a pee break, because when you're old enough to remember this game, your bladder has sort of stopped functioning. So I'll be back in 15 minutes with a glass of wine and my nostalgia hat on, and we'll do some rallying and some other stuff with this brilliant old DOS game. See you in about 15 minutes. Or go to bed. I'll pick out, yeah. By all means, go to bed, do something else, alright? There we are. Ish. Jeez. The wife is away for one night on some sort of study thingy. What do? I go berserk. I have one glass of wine and I've got one old DOS game here. Oh, and I'm early. I'm never early. It's not classy. Yeah, let's well, what? Get rid of this music. I don't know, it's makes me think back to Allo Allo, where, if you know the comedy series, the sitcom where oh, what's her name? The wife from of Renee starts to sing in the cafe, and everybody puts pieces of cheese in their ears because they can't stand the noise. Well, that's what the music is about. It's nostalgia, and it's horrible. Right. Yeah, I'm all settled. Well, some people here. Hello. Not that many. I'm not doing a lot of streaming or video making. So how about this? Let's give everybody a little bit of an update, just what's been going on, and then we'll get to this DOS game stuff. So, not a lot of videos lately. Now, as you all know, this whole YouTube business is completely extra for me. Most of my time goes into the hardware business. As somebody said in the chat, there's been a review of the shifter recently, and we've been working on a lot of stuff, and I haven't had a lot of time to sit in the simulator, sadly. There's a lot of dust on my expensive Leo Bodnar sim steering wheel at the moment, which is a shame. I keep saying I'll change that and I'll do more driving, but it's hasn't really come of it lately. So I've made the drift car for Ryza Studios. You've probably seen some videos there, and I handed it over to Renato, so it's already drunk, sorry, in his hands to tweak and tune a little bit. Other than that, I've been doing mainly hardware stuff, which is also going quite well. And on a personal front, my wife is away, but just for one night. We bought a house, so that's being mostly demolished and hopefully rebuilt again. All that sort of stuff keeping me away from occasional random streams or videos. But, as I said, tonight's gonna be different. Stunts is one of those really old 1990 it is DOS games that some of you must be familiar with. And it's a pretty cool game. Ooh, 3D stream 20. Yeah. This brings a tear to the eye almost. What is Stunts? Well, as the name suggests, and as the background suggests, there are some jumps and stunts and thingies. You can build your own tracks and then drive a selection of cars on these tracks. And this was one of the most playable, fun racing games we had in back in the day. If you had a 386, you got 3D graphics, sorta, which was all you could hope for then in a magic 320 by 200 resolution, which is nothing, but hey, upscaled a little bit for this DosBox emulator, so it looks, if you think this looks horrible, well, it's even more blocky if it would be not upscaled. So as for cars, well, I found a later version of the game. Apparently it's still being worked on. There is still a community, he says, actively sort of making stuff for this game, which is hilarious and quite cool. And so I got that version because it has some cool extra cars. So originally we had the Countach, the GTO, ooh, Group C, I love that. But this is sort of the main attraction for me of this game. There were a couple of Group B-ish, just the road-going versions of the Group B, or at least the rally cars of the day. It was post-Group B, because this is 1990, but hey, anyway. And I loved rallying back then, because I have a pretty vague memory of Group B cars in 1985-6, when I was 6 or 7 years old. Got a glimpse of that on TV, and the noise and the sound and the dust and the craziness, so I kind of fell in love with the Audi Quattro and the Lancia cars. So having a couple of these in horrible colors in a game was spectacular. Really cool. So I used to do competitions between the Lancia and the Audi and see which was quicker. It's Lamborghini. I'm sorry. I should have pronounced it very much more Italian. Here we have the Lamborghini LM002. It has a front engine. It has four-wheel drive. Okay. Sorry, I will stop being Italian. Although I did eat pizza, I guess that helps a little. Let me know if the sound is horrible or if I'm clipping or whatever, or if I should just shut up and play. So this is a new car that's in this. That I guess modding was a thing for this DOS game and still is a thing. Haven't driven this one. And there's also the battle. There's a Porsche 962, and a couple of cars ago we had the Jaguar. So a couple of Group C cars and a couple of Group B cars. So as far as car selection goes, still better than most sims. Porsche Carrera, and it had an Indy car, which was insane. This is also one of the new cars I haven't driven, so this wasn't originally in the game as far as I'm aware anyway. Corvette, yeah, that was there. Digital Dash, ooh. F40, so it's also sort of a modded car. Never driven this, pretty cool. Esprit wasn't originally in there, and behold, they put a Formula 1 car in there, the McLaren Honda, which wasn't originally in there. So I've got some cool new cars to try and some new tracks to build. So that should be quite good fun. Porsche 911 Turbo is a new one as well. NSX was in there, I believe. He vaguely remembers. There's the Quattro. So you can select manual or auto gears, change the color a little bit, and look at the incredible polygon counts going on here. Chernobyl green, I'll pick that. So then we have the tracks, and I saved my let me show that. So way back, before we had even like a CD-ROM drive or CD writer, it was quite difficult to make a backup of all your games. And as soon as a guy in school, his brother got a single-speed CD writer, and I brought all my floppies to him, and we made a backup of all my games. And I found it somewhere, and the CD still works, actually, which is nice. So we have a couple of old DOS games here that I used to play, and they still all work, most of them anyway, in DosBox. So I just, some of the classics: Syndicate, Stunts, Scunny Cards, Screamer, SC2000, SimCity 2000, of course, Redneck Rampage, Quake, Psycho Pinball, Virtual Snooker, Virtual Pool, Transport Tycoon, Deluxe, Witch Heaven, horrible game, Chuck Yeager's Air Combat, still like that. Some classic DOS games that I used to play: Mortal Kombat, NASCAR Racing, IndyCar, IndyCar 2, GP2 with a couple of car sets. Yeah, Fade to Black, Eurofighter 2000, Dyna Blaster, hilarious 2-player game, Duke Nukem 3D, let's rock. So yeah, I found that CD again, and got me all like sort of misty-eyed and back in time mode. So tracks, I have no idea what these are, but let's try and find some of the rally tracks. I think I must have some rally cross. Yeah, so this is a track called Lance Audi, probably because of its well, that's a bit disappointing, isn't it? Remember, I was like 11 at the time. But what you could do, you had like this field where you could make a track. In fact, let's just go make a track. Well, hang on. I had an empty space. So here you have asphalt or sand or ice, and then you have some bridges and chicane thingies and some corkscrews and tunnels that you can place around, and you can build your own track. And banked corners, sort of techie stuff, chicane things, bridgey things, more things, and some objects. And you could place these around. So let's make a simple rallycross track. That's why I'll demonstrate what this game actually is about instead of just yapping on and on. So here we have tiles, and we can just place objects there. So let's start in the bottom left here with start, just making a simple rallycross track. And while you only have a small selection of corners, you could sort of tie them together in pretty clever ways that you would have to think about your line. So if you have this with a little bit of straight, you get sort of a double apex feel, and I found that quite interesting. Or you can make a tightening bend like this. These are always going to screw you over because you enter it real fast and then it tightens. So quite a small selection of corners, but you could sort of make them clever and combine them a little bit. And what's also always cool, if you have just a little bit too short of a section to properly change your driving line. So this is long enough probably, but if you make it a little shorter, I will compromise my line. Coming out of this corner, I won't have enough time to be on the outside for this one. So even though the simplicity is definitely limiting it, you could do some cool bends. And I always like to put some chicanes in there. Alright, that's pretty good. Let's do some sand. Let's screw us up. I always hate hairpins, so let's put one in. Let's make it open. Give it a bit of a straight there. This into that. Other right opens. So let's see if we haven't accidentally drawn a penis. Whew, no. Let's make it go like that. So now we've successfully made a track. Whee! It's quite barren, so let's place some DirectX 12 high resolution objects around the track. Some tennis courts. That's where the start finish is. Well, some woods, obviously. It's gonna be some billion polygon woods. Click, 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 click. They were sponsored by the mouse button industry. Some barns. Cactus, yeah. A flat. Ooh, brilliant. Well, and a boat. Boat on land. Let's put a boat on land, some boats. Okay, then admiring this being all clever, we just save it. Done. And there is my creation. Obviously quite spectacular. So we've saved this. We've chosen the car. Yeah, Chernobyl green. That was what it was. Let's drive. So on your left we have some tennis courts. Manual gears. Just keyboard steering. And the grip levels are quite different on each surface. Streaming in 60 frames? No. Well, I might be, but I think the game runs at about 15. Oh, the gear spacing. Opens. Yeah. There were some games with that you could make your own tracks, but this was quite user-friendly and relatively flexible, with the huge selection of cars, at least for the time. Titans! And overfinish, 1 minute. $14.25. So now let's pick the Lancia. Where is it? This one. Manual. Yeah, that's a nice color. See if we can beat it. So this is what I just did this for hours and hours and hours, and I'll look at some of my old tracks in a minute. Because if you were a bit clever maximizing the space, you could do some very long rally stages almost. That would take like 8 minutes to drive. Even though there are just a few tiles you can use in the track editor. If you sort of have a way to fill out all the tiles with road sections. So I'm still not quite sure which of these two is actually the quicker. Yeah, that's good. Curbstones on a dirt corner. Ah, more grip. Cactus. See-through buildings. $114 to beat. Not gonna make it. Ugh. Fairly close. And I could do this for ages and ages. And it had a pretty cool replay system too, which I think always showed the F40 actually, which wasn't originally in the game. How did this work? That's a pretty good question. Ah, there we are. So you have quite a few cameras you can cycle through, and it's hilarious looking at it now. The cars are not even recognizable as cars, let alone as a Lancia Delta. But remember, in those days, with a 386, 16 or 25 megahertz system, anything 3D was quite spectacular. It is very much upscaled though now with DosBox, so this would only run at 320 times 200 resolution. So it wasn't very advanced. But you could move the cameras around and stuff. And zoom in. It's pretty, you know, clever for the day. Especially as you would typically crash quite spectacularly, and you could look it up in the replay, and I think you could even save replay. Yeah. Could you continue? Is this like... replay. Okay. Can I... See, now that's neat. You can continue halfway through a replay. I've never seen or noticed this in my years playing this game. It's like sort of a rewind thing that's popular in a lot of sim-unworthy games now, isn't it? Oh, yeah. So that's the game in a nutshell. Thank you for watching, bye bye. Well, still bail out while you can. But a couple of things I tried to do was make copies of Formula 1 tracks, which was quite difficult because the limited selection of sort of road sections made it quite difficult. So this is, well, you can guess, Monza. Old Monza, when the chicane went left, right, left after start finish. Otherwise it's pretty good. Let's see what else. Estoril. Yeah. No. Well, an attempt at Estoril, let's say that. Brazil. Aha, so this is, now I don't even remember the name. But you can kind of recognize this is a Brazilian racetrack. So we use this to do beta testing for Ryza Studios. No, we didn't. But that's the cool thing about it, was that you definitely needed the imagination in order to see that this was an F1 track. But in 1990, when you're 11 years old and you got your PC has 25 megahertz, you just have quite a bit of imagination just to make these games more. That cannot be true. To make these games more exciting. This is an attempt at Hockenheim. A pretty bad one. So a stadium section and a wobbly sort of impossible shaped. Well, I've been hating on Tilke for making bad tracks, but then again, if I was in charge, it wouldn't be much better. Lots and lots of tracks. Random names, I always did that. I also like to just make like a city-ish thing. So with lots of buildings, and normally this wouldn't work because it needed like an A to B track wouldn't work. It would need like a closed circuit. But what I did here is just have like a really small oval. This is the closed circuit, so the game says, yeah, alright, I can compile this into a racetrack and then just make all sort of stuff around it, and then you can leave the track and go drive on this sort of city-ish thing. Which I'll do now in one of those new cars that I haven't tried yet. So there is an F40, yeah. No idea, let's try this. So this is some laser scan banking. Bumpy banking. I think iRacing bought the technology. That's a joke. Oh, I should not go over the finish because I want to leave and drive this. Yeah, I know I should be going there. I'm not. So now I'm on sort of the city part of this track, and this is extremely disappointing. But it was so amazing back then that you basically created your open world racing game. And I'm sure you're all thinking, oh, he hasn't taken his medicine. What's he going on about? But yeah, this was it. Ah, cheeky, putting corners very close to jumps. So that was something I did, making those city tracks and just driving round and round and round until I was bored. The rally stages, something I mentioned as well. Forgot how this game works. Doesn't help that I use random names. Okay, that's not a track. Te gek. Oh, that's a bit complicated. Does it even work? Jeez. So if you mess with ice and tarmac and jumps and things, it gets quite interesting and pretty difficult. Especially you put like the jump where you typically land, you put some object there that you 9 out of 10 times crash into until you learn the track, and you put it on a 5-minute track right at the last. It's all very logical and normal, and then the last bend, then there's some object appears that you always crash into. It would annoy your friends, and you wouldn't have friends anymore. Let's see, where is this? I've been... Rally. Yes, this is what I'm talking about, with some random... So it's a super long dirt rally track. That's pretty cool. Do I have more? Lang. Whoa. I was 11, guys. Have some sympathy. Monaco. That's gonna be horrible. Let's see. Can we recognize Monaco? Turn 1 uphill. Yeah, there's no hill, but part of the imagination. What's hairpin tunnel? Chicane thingy? What? Well, don't really recognize Monaco here. Okay, let me just find that. Really? No. Did I not have one without strange banking? Probably not. So, rally. Let's do a stage, alright? Let's do some proper driving. Let me have a sip of wine, because that makes me faster. Ah. I don't like this one actually, so I got a jump in it and I'll probably screw up the jump. I know I'm postponing actually doing some driving. I'm aware of that. So that was rally. Okay, but what about... That's rally cross. Okay, I know. There's also... Bum 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 bum. Cannot find my brilliant track. Complicated. Oh. This looks complicated. Let's drive complicated. And the car of choice. Yeah. So what about the physics? You're dying to know. Well, this is the F40, which I haven't driven. Well, you hear sort of the tires screeching sound. Physics, horrible. I'm afraid. I'm sorry, horrible. The problem is, this kind of started the... It was the first game where if you went too far, sliding too much, you would literally lose all grip and just sort of the hand of God would sort of push you way off the track. And that's my own doing here, but that's a shame, especially on dirt, as you'll see in a bit when I do a bit of rallying, because I ain't going to bed. There's this speed that you can take through a corner, and if you go just a little faster, you'll end up sliding way like this. Everything is lost, and you need a pair of binoculars to see where the track goes. So that's kind of bad. So that's understeer or oversteer that sort of messes you up completely. So where are all these jumps that I've put in and all those raised roads? I haven't... Still not on them. So the challenge with the physics is just to avoid going too fast, because the silly oversteer will put you basically on another planet. And the other way is to drive, is just to tap those keys and get a feel for the maximum speed that you could do for each corner. Oh, okay. What? Ooh. Oh, disappointing. What isn't, Niels? It actually came with a track. Let's do the default one. I think this is... Herr Otto. Hat ja die schnellste Zeit gefahren. 2 Minuten, 26 Sekunden und 20 Hundertsten. How hard can it be with a GTO? Let's try to beat Herr Otto. I think this is the default track that came with the game. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. So the GTO, well, F40 is about the same. Nah, not quite. GTO, let's be fair. Let's beat him fair and square. How hard can it be? Ooh, yeah, long first gear. See, and now with these jumps you never know what's behind it. It might be an immediate super sharp bend, or a chicane like that. Let's go straight. So the speed you dare to take through a jump if you don't know the track. It's a bit of a risk. Ooh, almost sliding off. Here we got a corkscrew. And a fuel and a gas station. That's the typical combination. You see that? Oh, do we make it? Do we make it? No! Tends to be the windshield that goes in this game. Let's try that again. With the game called Stunts, you probably expect to do a couple of stunts. So there was a chicane. See if I can go quicker and not land. Yeah. That tire screech is quite scary, because you're never quite sure when the magic hand of God oversteer will kill you. Yay. I'm a stunt driver. Ooh, too much sliding. Engine braking. That's a bit of fake. They forgot to make the grass feel like, can I go fast? Yeah. On some sections you can actually drive on the grass without losing any speed. What's next? I hate it when they do that. And then the magic slide appears. So it's understeery, and if I just keep steering, it'll just slide out. So if I just keep the steering there, ooh, you almost see it accelerating away from the corner. So is there a physics element? Sure, because you don't want to tap the steering or keep it pressed too long. Ha! Beat Otto by such a large amount that it wasn't a relevant time then. So yeah, there was a challenge, but this was way before real sims started to appear, where you could actually have some control of the car on the limit. Having said that, this was of course not super simmy, and in 1990 we've had Indianapolis 500, let's say iRacing 0.001. Geoff Cremant Grand Prix 1 wasn't out yet, although his stunt car racer and revs was out, but they were not available or quite crappy on the PC. So on the PC side of things, I'd say this was the first 3D racing game that actually worked quite well. A lot of the older games like the Cycles or Accolade Grand Prix, they were sort of 2D sprite based, and this was 3D with a very high polygon count. Let's do a Group C battle now, because that's an amazing feature of this game. And let's modify Italy, because this is so old. I have the old chicane in there. In fact, let's just make a new version of Monza. That's a great idea. So I showed you the track editor, but you could also edit the terrain by using a key combination that I was not aware of back in the day. Shift F1, so you can actually put water or hills and raised sections everywhere. So you could have quite a bit of control over the terrain and over the objects you placed, and overall quite cool. A fairly limited number of tiles, but still, you know. Anyway, let's make a new Monza. It will be the best Monza. What do we need for Monza? Well, we're in Italy. We need a sip of wine. Ah, very nice. My drinking is really sad in the sense that, you know, those proper, like a normal wine bottle, right? That's 0.75 liters, 750 centiliters of wine. We typically don't even finish that, so it's after a week we have to throw it out. So we get those like super sad 250 milliliters bottles of wine these days. I know, it's part of getting old. Start finish. Ish, yeah. Does it matter? Let's. I think we're gonna use the entire available. So we have. See, how do you do like a really high-speed corner? Let's look at chat, Niels. Be a bit social, you idiot. 29 watching. Jimmy, eat your heart out. Oh no, not quite. Nice to see a couple of you here. I realize my streams are few and far between and of dubious quality, but hey. Oh, this game is not called Dragster, Rolonzo, so the gaming title, my streaming skills have failed me, so this is Stunts 1990. If this was available in 1980, wow, that would have been amazing. A Drift DLC video is a good idea. I might even get to that. Feel like a bit of Dorifto. And otherwise it's fairly quiet and people are behaving in chat, which is nice to see. So back to Monza. So how do you make some of these, like the first, so after the chicane, the high-speed corner, how do you make that? It's quite tricky, because if let's do a scale model of Monza, right? So you got this, and then you have the chicane, and then you have to decide on your Lesmos. Is it gonna be this with a little bit of a straight, and then that? Lesmos are a bit quicker, but if these are the Lesmos, I have a problem. I cannot go diagonal. So that's a bit. That sucks a little bit. parabolica opens, so we could do it like that. And here I kind of like the idea. Okay, now the space between the lesmos is a little bit comical. And the space here is comical. This is a scale model. We're trying a scale model first. So Monza, yeah, not too bad, right? Not too bad. But the scale is going to be horrible, I think. So let's see. Four by four drift cars. No, real drifting. Oh, what's complaining about? Doesn't like my track. Oh, I got 2 start finish. No, four-wheel drifting isn't drifting. It's fake. Actually, that is kind of true. Drifting is rear-wheel drive only. Or with T-trays under your rear tires on a front-wheel drive car. That's also allowed. Save. Bad Monza. Yes, save the file. Scale Monza should now work. There we are in our Group C car. I always love this purple dashboard. Super cool. It's gonna be a bit short. Oh, this... They sure have extra grip. Already Lesmo 1. Just a bit wide. Lesmo 2. What's he on about with Lesmo? Imagination, people. We needed that in 1990 with ages before laser scanning. And that's it. That's a lap completed. 48 seconds. Pretty cool. Okay, so that was reasonable, but the scale was way off, right? So let's do better than this and see if we can be a bit more creative with the shape. Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. Oh, more questions. Jeez. I'm actually using the Pro pedals at home. Not with this game, though. Yeah, I'm involved with Riser Studios. But I'm only part of the physics team there, so Renato does quite a bit. I typically deliver a base car that's 90%, and then some wear and tear and tweaks are done by Renato before it gets launched. But it's about 90% of the time it's hardware business. So after the chicane, I'm wondering what to do with this corner. Now I know that there is a cheat corner, or I can just make it banked. That's a bit arcade. So I sometimes did this to give the impression of a wider radius corner. And I just have enough room left for the following chicane. Just going by feel here. It felt a little quick doing the less modes like this, but yeah, wasn't too bad. And I can also cheat going diagonal by using the same piece of road, because you can drive on the grass here. So we can go a bit swirly, but it's actually going diagonal. Let's delete the last Micro Machines portions of the track. And there. So I think that's about it. How does this actually go? Something like that, right? Somewhere here. In fact, it's probably better to... nah, I'll just have it straight. Oh, I forgot one thing. Turn the music on. I quite like... oh, yeah, tightening parabolic. I don't think so, Niels. This should be alright. Parents back in the day must have loved the music in this game when their kids were making tracks for hours and hours. It's not looking too bad, so my squirrely diagonal thingy is... yeah, I can make that work, I can make that work. So the fun is more in building it than when you drive it. It's tends to be a tad disappointing. However, look at that. That's Monza. All right, let's just agree that is Monza. It Monza with, I don't know. Monza should go to the doctor because it might be something. Tumor Monza. Let's see though. The best Monza. It's not laser scanned, but effectively it's the same with the Rocky Mountains in the background. That's the chicane. Now approaching the fake Curva Grande. So I can be on the grass here. Yeah, it kind of works. It makes it more flat out. There's a chicane somewhere. Oh, you do have to brake. That's very realistic. I always miss that chicane in all sims, so that's evidence it's a realistic track. Lesmo is a bit too quick, but I think they were quicker in the 90s. 310 straight road. Ooh, too fast, too fast. Oh, that's tighter than you would like Parabolica to be. 142. Jägermeister. Jaeger, you get it? That's not even horrible. I fully understand some of you are leaving. Much wiser. However, it's never stopped me before. What do we have? I think we have a bridge here. We have bridges. Yes, we do. Where is it? Here? There? Think about there. That will be a nice sort of recognizable thingy. There is a dip here and a bridge too, but I don't think we can cover it. No, we don't. We cannot do that. Add some trees. Then we'll see what we can do in the Porsche 962 in this Group C battle. That's enough for now. .962. It does look quite nice. Super long tail. Chernobyl green. Standing start. Let's see what we can do. And after that we'll take... Oh, the chicane first. Niels, chicane first. Well, the effect is quite good. Okay, that's my brake marker. Is it? I don't know. So a bit of tire squeal is alright. Too much and the hand of God will put you in the trees. Wow, it's quick. When does this end? Fail. Remember that Parabolica is a bit too tight on entry. or forget it, that's fine. Nobody's perfect. It's probably not too bad with a standing start, 130 something. Yeah, okay. Let's try one more time. Not forgetting it starts with a chicane. When I first got this game we didn't have a Sound Blaster card, so I had to use the PC speaker. I'll spare you the how that sound, but it had relatively good engine sound for PC speaker compared to the earlier 2D based Accolade games or other racing games. a year later, Geoff Crammond's Grand Prix 1 would do it even better for a PC speaker. So this, what you're hearing, was the good sound that you could get. Oh, no brake markers for that. I gotta learn when it comes there. Yeah, made it. Oh, slower. Backs for one more try. Always standing start. That was a bit of a downside. You couldn't do laps. Didn't see a real reason why not, but yeah, a little bit of screech. That's probably good. A little bit of Saved by the Bell screech. And that's me done with my 90s references. Ooh. Oh, it's so fast. But ooh. You get real scared of the screeching sound, because you never know when it's going to just move you over. This is the best lap so far. Despite my speed, I'm not actually gaining on the Rocky Mountains. Engine braking. Sub 30. Ah, nice. Let's try that in the IndyCar, see which is quicker. Well, in this color it won't be fast. This was the quickest car in the game. With a Momo steering wheel. Oh, so tricky to drive with the keyboard. It didn't have analog joystick support, so it wouldn't feel any better with a wheel or a joystick. Going quicker. Then we'll take the McLaren 9 MP4 something out, which is new for me in this game. It's a modded car, which should be quicker than an Indy car. And with the realism of this game, how can it not be? Oh, misjudged. Tighter Bollica. Yeah. $189 miles an hour. But we haven't brought out the big guns yet. Look at that. Cool. Oh. Digital dash. it's a little different. Oh, there we go. Get dizzy from all those squiggly bits. Ooh. This is a bit more tricky to drive than the IndyCar. And it's quicker. it allows those at signs and stuff. That's funny. Exclamation marks. Sometimes games didn't even allow you to enter anything else than just letters. Let's do that again though, because I screwed up. So yeah, this is what I did when I was a child. Which doesn't really pin it down, because I'm still a child. And I'm still doing it, so I guess that... Ooh, sliding, you don't wanna... The steering has sort of a inertia feeling to it, that once you're going right, it takes quite a while for it to change direction. Can go quicker. Much quicker. Just need more attempts. Many more attempts. Ah, so hard. Scale-wise, though, didn't do too bad a job with Monza. And the downhill slope. Cool though. So, well, what else, you know? Most of my childhood here in front of you. Some of it anyway. You could also race against opponents. With hilarious names. Squealin' Bernie Rubber. Otto Pats. Doubt I could even read English back then. I still can pronounce the language, but I can at least read it a little bit. Smoking Joe Stalin. Cherish. Cringe. Skid Vicious. Yeah, this was the guy to beat. Let's race him then. Let's do an AI race and give him the same car because I'm nice. All right, eat your heart out, Sid. Opponent near. You see the dysfunctional mirrors? What? Oh. Learn how to drive, jeez. This is my road. When I'm on it, you stay on my way. Got it. You brake check me. I suppose any contact is gonna be lethal. Where is he? And we're winning. It took a while longer for AI to become even remotely playable. Formula 1 Grand Prix, I did a video of that half a year ago. Actually had pretty decent AI. Oh, cannot blow up the engine. It's a Honda. They're reliable in F1. Actually, they do seem to be now. That's hilarious. So let's see what Sid Vicious has to say when he gets defeated. It's gonna be corny. You ticked me off. Ah, 90s Sid Vicious pulling his hair out. Even that was cool. Ah, well, I enjoyed this. I realized this was a bit unprepared and weird old DOS game, but played it a lot and a cool car selection. And this just the imagination you needed to enjoy this, and you would actually make your own tracks and they'd be horrible, but in your mind they were the best ever. So many things you could do, and then you bring a floppy to school and your friends would try the tracks out and you'd have a bit of competition, and I'd always be the fastest because nobody else was playing after a couple of weeks. But hey, super cool. Still runs great in DosBox. Now, if you're a bit younger, you're probably not even aware what DOS is. So you've probably missed out on these, and in many ways it's for the better. I mean, computing power was just so minimal back then. 3D graphics were barely possible, and physics were barely possible. But like I said, it's the imagination that you need with these older games to fill in the blanks that just weren't possible. Fool. Graphics levels. Oh, never seen those. Anyway, blast from the past. Stunts for the whatever it's called. That was a fun hour for me. I realized not that many people were watching or might even see this video, but hey, it's a legendary game for those who were around back then, and gave you some insight into what it was. Thank you guys for watching this streamo, and I'll really try to do some drifting and make a video of it. Ah, that's my desktop. What's happening? Bye bye guys, catch you later. Cheers.